All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Google Workspace for Education webinar. And this is a webinar that I've run before for the MT program. And anyone that's going to be teaching in the virtual classrooms and going on practicum, this session is for you. In today's session, I'm going to go over a lot of the basic features of the OISE version of Google Workspace, which you may know as Google Classroom. And I'm going to show you lots of tips and tricks and things like that. It's going to be a little bit basic information covered today, but I can definitely move into some more advanced stuff if needed down the road. So today we're going to go over a bunch of things. The first thing, I'm going to talk about what the Google Workspace project is, how you can get access to it, what kind of features we have access to at OISE and what some missing features may be. We're going to explore some tools that are available through Google. We'll set up a classroom. And I'm going to show you how to create an assignment using rubrics. And if there's time, I'll explore some other apps as well. Now, for many of you, if you do use Gmail as your personal email account, some of the tools and tips and tricks I'm going to show today are going to be a little bit repetitive, or maybe you'll be like, this is so easy. But it is very similar to your personal Gmail account. So just try to bear with me. So the Google Workspace for Education project was set up by Education Commons, which is the IT department at OISE. And we've basically set this up for, well, originally for the MT students, but also for anyone in the MA-CSE program as well. Anyone who's going to be going on practicum. It's completely free, and it's going to actually allow you to have a new email address with a domain at oise.utoronto.ca. Now, normally we have all of the students already added into our Google Workspace instance with SSO, so you can sign in with your UTOR ID. We're running a little bit late on that, so hopefully by the end of the week we'll have SSO enabled, so you can just log in with your regular email address. If you do want early access, aka you want access today or tomorrow, you can scan this QR code and it should bring you to a Microsoft form where we'll just collect your first name, last name, and your current university email address, and then we can manually create you an account so you'll have access today. So I'll also put this QR code up at the very end, but yeah, if you want early access, you can do it this way, but if you feel like waiting maybe till the end of the week or early next week, it should automatically work for you. And if you do get access to Google Workspace, whether we create your account for you today, or if you just wait like a week and it's automatically created, the way you log into Google Workspace is by heading over to gmail.com, and you're going to sign in with your University of Toronto email, your student email address, except you're going to change the domain to oise.utoronto.ca from, I think it's mail.utoronto.ca. So you're just going to make that quick little change. And once you do that, it's not even going to ask you for a Google password. It's actually going to prompt you over to the SSO where you can sign in with your UTOR ID. And it's a much more secure way than having a separate password for Google. If you're unable to log in, even after we've created you an account, you can always submit a ticket to Education Commons, and we'd be more than happy to help you out with that. But yeah, so just a quick reminder, this QR code on the left, that will give you early access, but if you can wait about a week, hopefully we'll have it all automatically completed. So we're using the Google Workspace for Education Fundamentals Edition, which is the free version. This is the same version that's used by TDSB and really a lot of school boards across Ontario. So these are all of or there's more now, but there's a lot of apps that you can use with this Google Workspace. And the level of features and customizability you have really depends on how kind of far you get into each of these apps. You'll notice that using things like Google Classrooms and Google Meet may be a little bit different if you've already experienced using a paid version of Google before, but that's nor here nor there. So there are a couple missing features because we are using the free version. So we're unable to use polls when we use Google Meet, which is the video conferencing or video chat service. We are unable to do unlimited originality reports. So again, there will be a limit on how many kind of student assignments you can check. Some Google add-ons have been already integrated, and we're always looking to add more. And then also we can't do live streams of over 10,000 people, but if, I don't think that's the case for anyone here. So there are just a few differences with the free version. So I think I already talked about exploring the tools. So now we're going to hop into a live demo where I'm going to kind of walk you through how Google Workspace works. I'm going to show you how to set up a classroom and how to use rubrics with your assignments. And again, there's that QR code if you are looking to, fill out that form now. But I'm actually going to do another screen share here, and I'm going to start walking you through Google Workspace. So here you can see I'm using my Google Chrome browser. Google Chrome is the most responsive and probably best browser when you're using Google products. Just make sure your browser is always up to date. In the top right corner here where you see my small face, it might say update there. That just means it's a one click and it will update your Chrome for you, but it usually updates automatically. So once you actually go to gmail.com and you log into your account, assuming that you've got it created already, this is what your homepage is going to be. It's Gmail. And I think a lot of us have seen what Gmail is, what Gmail, maybe we use Gmail for our personal accounts, which is totally fine. But I'm just going to go over a couple of things. So the first thing you're going to see is your inbox here. If you want to send a new email, you're just going to click the compose button. You can even kind of bring it up full screen. And there's lots of customizations you can do when sending an email. I'm sure this isn't new for a lot of people. So I'm just going to minimize that. Down the left-hand side here, there's a couple other new features or features maybe you don't use with your personal account. One is called chat. So chat used to be called Hangouts. So you can actually send messages to other folks who use the OISE Google Workspace, or you can also send it to external members. And this is just my personal email address, just to test it out. And so if you wanted to, you can send an email to your personal account, and you can chat back and forth, or you can chat with people who are, maybe not in the OISE instance, which is fine. And you can also chat with other folks within OISE. Hey, how are you doing? And you can, send files and do a quick video chat if you want as well. There's also Google Spaces, which is great if you like to chat with a large group of people. So especially when you go on practicum, you're going to want to set up a space for your English class where you can just post really quick messages to the whole class. It's even easier than using Google Workspace. And then there's also the Meet button, which I'm just going to click here. It's a little slow loading. So here I can actually set up scheduled meetings. I can invite people to them and that sort of stuff. So a lot of super cool features, even just within Gmail, that some people may not be fully aware of. Now, up in the top right-hand corner here, I'm just going to go back to my inbox. In the top right-hand corner here, you'll see this app launcher button. I call it the waffle button with these 9 dots. If you click that, it will give you a drop-down menu of all of the apps that are available through Google Workspace. And down way at the bottom, you actually have Google Classroom. I don't know why they keep it at the bottom, but they do. And then you can even find all kinds of third-party apps if you click on the More from Google Workspace Marketplace. But for right now, the first thing I want to share before we even get into Google Classroom would be the Google Drive. So Google Drive is your online cloud storage, free. It's a great space to kind of save all of your files. So if you create any files within Google that you choose not to save to your desktop, they'll automatically save to your Google Drive. So if you create, maybe you write an essay or you create an assignment or even a classroom, they will automatically be placed here. And so the one challenge is that as you can see by my account, which again, I don't use this for teaching, I use it just for these types of sessions. You can see that a lot of these files just kind of get thrown in here. We have spreadsheets, PDFs, presentation files, documents, Excel files, pictures. So it's up to you to kind of manage it on your own, dragging and dropping these into different folders. So you can easily create a new folder up here, and you can call it whatever you want. You can call it science class. And when you create that folder, it'll actually appear right here, and you can even change the color, which I like to do just so it sticks out a little bit. And you can drag and drop files in there to keep your Google Drive organized. The one thing I want to mention too is that any files that are created using Google applications don't actually take up space within your Google Drive. So I'm sure if you've used OneDrive before or your personal computer, when you create a PDF or a PowerPoint, it tends to take up space within your device or within your cloud. Google files do not do that. They, as you can see, just zero space, which is kind of a cool feature if you are interested in that type of stuff. So now let's head over to the exciting stuff. Let's head over to lovely Google Classroom. And the first time you ever log into Google Classroom using your OISE account, there will be a prompt. It's going to ask you if you are a student or a teacher. Please make sure you choose teacher, even though you may be a student at OISE. Teacher will give you teacher level access to creating classrooms and that sort of stuff. If you choose student, we'll have to reset your whole account, and it's a bit of a process. So just make sure you choose teacher. So here you can see I've already have a bunch of different classes created, just for testing things and stuff like that. If I click the plus up here, I can create a new class, or I can join a class. So if some of your colleagues and classmates are creating, let's say, a social studies class, they can actually invite you into that class so you can take a look kind of and see how they've laid it out, what their resources are. They can even make you a teacher of that class as well, which is a nice way to kind of collaborate and share educational resources. As I know, myself being a retired teacher, just how important it is to have good resources for your classes. So if I click create class, you can give your class a name. I can call this, maybe this is phys ed or something like that. And you can call it, you can give it a section if you want. Sections, subjects, and rooms. This is more if you have lots of classes and you're trying to keep organized. It's not super necessary in the OISE instance. No matching subjects, that's fine. And give it a room, even though it's virtual. And just like that, I have created a Google Classroom. Might take a second here to populate in. And as I mentioned, oops, oh, sorry, let me just go back. And so there you can see my brand new class right here. And I can actually even copy the invitation link and send that off to anyone I want. I can archive the class, which will kind of hide it. So if I'm no longer using the class this semester, I can kind of tuck it away. But if I enter the class, this is what it looks like at first glance. And so Google Classroom is really, it's a very basic form of a learning management system. It works really well with all of the Google tools. You can create assignments, but it's probably not as robust as using something like D2L, Canvas, Moodle, the learning management systems. You use Quarkus at U of T. It's definitely more just for kind of a quick way to assign and capture homework. I think it's a really great tool if you are teaching in-person classes, which I think a lot of folks are back in the classroom. This can be a good backbone of your class where you can have students actually upload their assignments if you don't like collecting paper copies of essays and things like that. So there's a lot of customization you can do within your classroom. The first one is up here at the top banner. You can actually choose and upload a new image, or you can just kind of play around with the colors as well. Away you go. You'll change your colors. You can also add announcements to your class. Hello, everyone. You can put as much information there as you want. You can even include links and stuff. Hey guys, check out this website. And you can choose exactly who you want to send it to. So if you have lots of classes, but you want to send the same message to everyone, you can do that as well. Or you can just limit it to the current class you're on. You can also choose if you want to send to all students or specific students. I don't have any students registered in this class yet because I just made it, but that's another option as well. And when you click post, it'll post the announcement, kind of basic. But if you upload images and links, it does make it a little bit more engaging. Another cool feature that I like to, or I guess strategy I like to show people when they are playing around with their Google Classroom, up in the top right-hand corner here, this little cog, this is your class settings. And there's one feature in here I like to always tell new teachers to turn on is for your course stream. Make sure that students can only comment. And by doing that, it just means that my stream page, which is really going to be kind of like my dashboard where students are going to see what assignments are coming up, any important information. They can't just be posting their own kind of, hi, Mr. Lottie, and that sort of stuff. They can really only comment on things that I've posted. So a student may comment down here, but they can't make their own announcement. It really depends on the type of class you have. Maybe in secondary, it might be a little bit more manageable, but something to keep in mind. If we head over to the People tab, I'm just going to skip over classwork for a second. Here's where you can add folks as students. So within the OISE domain, you can add anyone you want with their OISE email account. If you have some friends in your section or in your class, you want them to check out your course and see how it looks, you can add them as students. You can also add them as teachers as well. And yeah, you'll get a whole bunch of different accounts, which is pretty cool. And once everyone is added into our Google Workspace, you should be able to quickly find people through the directory. So if you type in Ryan, you might see all the Ryans that are in your program, and you can add them as well. If I go over to the classwork tab, and this is really the meat and potatoes of Google Classroom, I can kind of really start building out how I want my class to look regarding things like PowerPoint presentations, assignments, that sort of stuff. And so if I click the create button, I can create assignments, quizzes, I can post questions, I can post course material, I can reuse old posts, and I can create topics. Topic is the first thing you probably want to create. If you're in university and you're teaching your course on Google Workspace, you might use it week 1. If you're in elementary, you might want to do like, if we're in phys ed, we might want to call this basketball unit. And I always like to put the date too, so September. And if I add that in here, now I have a basketball unit, and students can click on it and see everything they need to complete for the basketball unit. So as you're building your course, I like using topics to really post my units in there. I call this hockey, October, and you can kind of start, go to all topics here. Yeah, I can drag and drop. Yeah, I can put basketball first and then hockey. So putting the dates in there helps as well. And you can also copy the link just for that specific topic. Now, the fun part is adding stuff to these topics. So once you've added all of your units, or if you're going week by week, that's great. But now you can create things like assignments, quizzes, and post course material. The first thing you probably want to do is post course material. So when you press the material button, you can say, basketball, we'll call it basketball rules. So basketball rules, you can say, hey, everyone, here's a cool video for basketball rules. If I go to basketball rules, hit the search button. Obviously, with this being a Google product, it integrates really well with YouTube. And just like that, I can add the video. Hey, watch this video. And over on the right-hand side, I can also choose to put it with my basketball unit. If you forget this, you can always add it in after. And that's basically it. If you want to post it across multiple courses, that's an option too, especially if you're doing any sort of cross-curricular stuff. Maybe it's Remembrance Day or Truth and Reconciliation Day. You can post stuff across all of the courses you're teaching just to save a bit of time. And I'm going to go ahead and click post. And just like that, I can go to my basketball unit, or I can view it here, and I can see there's a piece of course content. So as you can see, you can start adding more and more course content, which is great, and really start building that up. But then after students get through all the course content, maybe you've posted some lessons that you've recorded of yourself, you can also add things like assignments. So if I go ahead and click assignment, I can call this a basketball quiz. Or no, but maybe a basketball essay, let's say. I'll say, finish your essay and upload it here. As you can see, I'm not a very good teacher. These are the instructions I give my students. And I can choose how much it's out of, or if it's ungraded. Maybe this is going to be out of 50 points. I can assign it a due date as well coming up, maybe on the 21st. And by default, it will go till 11:59, which is pretty cool. And you also have a plagiarism checker. So this is what I was talking about, your originality reports. You only have a few with the free version. So it's really, again, more just for testing out. When you're using your school board's version of Google Workspace, you may actually find that they have an unlimited amount, which is great. And some assignments you might want to check plagiarism, some you might not need to. You can also upload additional files. Maybe you have a PDF of the actual assignment that you've typed up. Maybe it's a web link. You want them to watch a video and then write a response. Or maybe you've created something and you have it saved in your Google Drive. And again, I'm going to explain a little bit more about what could be in your Google Drive after we get through Google Classroom. So just like that, I've assigned it. It has a due date. And now if I go to my basketball unit, or if I go to my stream, sorry, I can see that now students who are in my phys ed class, they will see, oh, wow, Ryan posted a video on basketball rules. He said hello. And he also sent me an assignment I have to create, which is an essay as well. So students can kind of see, when they need to complete stuff. And you as a teacher, you have a really cool view of this. You can see how many students you've assigned it to, and then when the students have handed it in, you can also sort your assignments and you can grade them and stuff like that. So once you do start building out your Google Classroom, I highly recommend adding a few of your friends or colleagues, or even your personal Gmail account to your classroom as a student. So that way you can kind of see both sides of how it's going to work. You can upload some fake assignments and then just see how the marking works as well. It's pretty neat. So I'm going to head back to the phys ed class here. And the last section I want to cover as well is, before I get ahead of myself, if I go to upcoming, it says no work due in soon. But if I click view all, it's going to show me that I do actually have a basketball assignment essay coming up next week. Anything due this week will appear right here for upcoming, which is pretty handy. If you go over to the marks page as well, you can actually, well, it's kind of a moot point now, but you can actually mark and grade all of the student assignments and that sort of stuff. So that's really Google Workspace in a nutshell. It's you can build it out as much as you want to build it out. It's really a repository for uploading assignments, course materials, and then collecting that. And you might go, well, Ryan, but I want to make a really cool website. I want it to be super engaging, links and things for students to click on. Well, if that is the case, I have a surprise for you. So let's head back to our Gmail landing page. Now, within Google, like I said, there are all kinds of apps you can use. We've already covered Gmail and Google Drive. These three applications here, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, those are very similar to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So these are great resources to use for your course materials or your course assignments. Super handy that way. Any rubrics you create for your assignments in Google Classroom, they'll be saved as Google Sheets files, which is really cool. You can also use Google Forms to create assignments as well. So maybe it's a 10-question multiple choice assignment. You can use Google Forms for that. But just to jump back very quickly, if you really want to build out your Google Classroom and make it a very robust experience for students, you might want to consider adding a Google site to your classroom. And a site it's a little bit different than a Google Classroom. And I'll click one here from May. Here's for a space class. Again, it was just an example class I showed to another group. A Google site is just another way you can organize your information in a way that's going to be a little bit more engaging for your students. There's all kinds of templates you can choose from, very easy to customize. You can determine how many pages you're going to have. It's probably the easiest way you can build a website, and it works with Google Workspace, which is really nice as well too. So you can actually have links to assignments in your website or links to resources and vice versa. And then just make sure you publish your site, and then you can literally share this link up here with any of your students. You can post it in your Google Classroom as well. So again, this goes a little bit above and beyond, but it's a nice way to keep your content organized. And you can see different pages for different topics and stuff like that. So that's really, I always get questions with Google Workspace. How come I can't customize it as much? And I think it's because Google wants you to kind of use these two products in tandem. So definitely play around with sites, but I'll warn you now, it's definitely a little bit of additional work besides just running a Google Classroom. As we go back over to these Google applications here, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick tips. So with Google Docs, the first one. The first thing it's going to do is ask you to choose a new document. They have all kinds of templates as well. So if you are someone, even if you're a student and you're required to write in APA or MLA, they have templates for that. But let's just say we're going to create a blank template here, or a blank document. So this is Google Docs. I think this is one of the most common apps with Google that people have seen. And up at the very top is where you can actually give it a name. So I might call this student assignment information basketball. And just like that, I'm just going to dismiss this. And just like that, I've created a document. It automatically saves. You can see this little cloud with the checkbox means it's saved right to my Google Drive. And I can start typing all the instructions for students that I want. There's also a really neat feature in here. If I click on tools, I should be able to go to voice typing. And just like this, I can now start dictating anything I want for this assignment. So if you are someone who just wants to put a big blurb out there, or maybe you want to write a big announcement to your students very informally, you can actually use the speech to text functionality. You can say words like period and new paragraph, and it will kind of do things like that. So again, there's a lot you can learn with the voice text features in Google, but it's a pretty handy way to get a lot of content down on the paper. And it's a great tool to show your students as well if they are they're not so keyboard literate as I think a lot of us are. Now that we have touch screens and things like that, this could be a really neat way to help them write assignments too. But as you can see, it won't automatically put punctuation in. So that's one cool feature I just wanted to share as well. And again, you can share any of these documents with anyone within Google Workspace just by clicking the share button. By default, they're set to private, where only you can view those documents. If I click share, I'll get a little pop-up window here where I can choose, let me see if Andrea's in here. Yeah. So I click on Andrea. I can make it so that Andrea is an editor, a viewer, or just a commenter. Sometimes you just want them to only be able to leave comments in the margins, or I can just give them full editing access. Please make edits, just like that. They'll be sent that. And now you can see up here, my button has changed to show that it's shared with one person as well. I can also very quickly join a conversation through video with this document already presented. So if I click this button here, sorry, my internet might be a little slow. I can start a new meeting here, and I can start inviting folks into it, where we can just jump into this document. A great way to review classwork with students you have. Oh, I think it's presenting right now. No, I'm just going to hang that up. Sorry, now I'm presenting within a presentation. I'll leave the call. Okay, yeah, so that's another way you can actually collaborate with your students and stuff. You can also leave comments and view all comments as well. If I go back now to my Gmail, I can click that drop down again, and I can go over to Sheets. Sheets is basically Microsoft Excel, same thing. So if it could be useful for math classes and any classes where graphing is required. Same sort of thing. You can start from a blank sheet, and you can use it just like you would Microsoft Excel. One of the features I did want to mention is that if you create any assignment in Google Workspace, or sorry, in Google Classroom with a rubric, I'll just show you right here. It's going to automatically generate a rubric in Excel, which makes it really easy. Like a big thing obviously is creating rubrics, to give students feedback on their assignments. This is a great way you can share with your colleagues different writing rubrics, or maybe you have a math rubric you're using. And that way, not everyone's making hundreds and hundreds of rubrics. You can easily share this with anyone, and they can pull that into an assignment and use it. And it just gives you this special formatting, so it works perfectly with your Google Classroom assignments. And you can add as much content as you want, or change it this way. You can also edit your rubric within Google Classroom. I'm going to hop back to the Gmail again. And the last one I want to share was Google Slides. And so Google Slides works just like PowerPoint. Obviously, it works really well integrated with Google Classroom. You can see down here, if some of them have a little P beside them, that's because they're PowerPoint files. So with Google Slides, you can absolutely open PowerPoint files, and then you can resave them as Google Slides files. And the same thing goes for Microsoft Word documents. You can open those in Google Docs and save them as Google files as well. So just something to keep in mind about when you are using these tools. They work pretty good both ways. You may have to fix some of the formatting and things like that. And so same thing, this is how you can create a presentation. There are tons of templates you can use as well. You can call this, basketball rules slideshow, and you can just start kind of clicking away, adding different slides. You can see it's very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. Again, just make sure you give all your files a name, call this basketball rules, and you can easily download these, and you can even download them as Microsoft PowerPoints if you're using Microsoft as well. So yeah, a lot of super cool features in here. The sky really is the limit when you are creating content in these Google tools. And I'll go over a few more. So we have Google Forms. This is a great tool if you want to do a survey or kind of like a quiz. Here you can see I have exit tickets I've created, course evaluations. They're a really nice way to collect a lot of information from your students just by sending them a single link. So if I go to this exit ticket, I can't remember what this one was for, but you can share Microsoft Forms, no problem, in your Google Classroom as well. So you can give them, make it so that they have to answer questions on your Google Forms, basically before they leave the class or before class finishes. And you can easily track responses as they come in, and you can download your responses as a Excel spreadsheet, or sorry, as a Google Sheets. I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. But I definitely recommend checking out all of the apps available. We've kind of gone through a few of them. Currents, I think, is for news. Calendar will be associated with your specific calendar for your Google account. Any assignments you create for your students will appear in their calendars if they're enrolled in your class. YouTube as well. So you can actually use your account to create a YouTube channel and start uploading your videos there if you want to host videos there. There's maps, photos. Jamboard is another cool one. So this is a great way if you want to do some collaboration with your students. You can basically upload an image and you can share this with students in your Google Classroom. So here I've just uploaded a small chart. And now as students log in, once you share with them, they can very easily grab a sticky and they might say Mars. And if I cancel that, I can click down here. Maybe I think Mars is an outer planet. So I can click it there, or you can drag it here. And you can do it for assigning groups. You can create Jamboards for small groups of students to work on things together. The trick being is that it's sometimes a little bit tedious to create the background image. So I created this background image just using Google Sheets. But if you have any sort of mind maps and things like that, graphic organizers, you can upload them into Jamboard and have students collaborate and work on things that way as well. Really good for kind of like that junior level learner, but could also be used all the way up to high school for things like groups and stuff like that as well. And yeah, you can, if you're running a presentation, even with your classes through a video meeting, kind of like what we're doing now, you can share this and have them all collaborate in real time, which is pretty cool too. All right, and this concludes our Google Workspace for Education webinar. Today, we covered a lot of the very basic features of Google Workspace and some of the really neat teaching and learning tools. If you have any additional questions about how to use Google or getting access to it, please don't hesitate to reach out to Education Commons. Thank you.